Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 10. Is it day 10?
9.
Day 9.
I think.
9?
Day 9, yes. Okay. I've got a bit of a cold still from Christmas, so I shouldn't actually do too much talking. But yeah, we have Elf with us who's going to talk about some of the research he's done, some Irish research, trying to get to the bottom of a wish. But before we do that, Patty did send me a Christmas greeting to include in the Christmas montage, and my inbox ate it. It showed it to me briefly, and then it hid it from me, and there was no evidence of it anywhere else. So I'm going to play it right now. So, where is it? Nope, that's not that. This. Let's go back to the very beginning. There.
Agus off-flin free-washed the McCordy Galera WikiTree. Happy Christmas and a prosperous New Year to all my WikiTree friends.
I
could have just said that in person.
I know you could have said it in person, but I felt bad that you had done this, and I couldn't find it for life, love nor money, when I was putting everything together. But anyways, that's good. Yeah, I'm hoping I'm better soon too. But so I should just stop talking and welcome Kathy. Glad to see you here too. And the first person who joined us on StreamYard this morning was Amanda Myers. And Patty, I'm just going to turn it over to you, and you can explain why that's exciting and our thanks for her.
Well, it's exciting because Amanda did most of the research on the wish, because I went down some other rabbit holes that I'm going to talk about. So as I said in the email I sent to Greg, be careful what you wish for, because you mightn't get what you want. Yes. So this wish is from Joanne Rialto, who I presume is in Australia because her ancestors are in Australia. And it was a very brief wish, which we see here highlighted in yellow. Break a brick wall and find records. So the profile in question is Patrick Duggan. So the first thing I wanted to do was figure out how is Joanne related to Patrick Duggan. So I went over here between the content rank and the message icon to click on the link to see how is Joanna related to Patrick Duggan, and there's no little icon to click on. But there are DNA connections for the profile. And Joanne shares 3.125% of her autosomal DNA with Patrick Duggan. And there's a little icon here to find the relationship. And when you click on the icon, it says, sorry, Ross 21279's family tree is not public and you are not on their trusted list. So what the hell is going on? Joanne has a red-locked privacy on her profile. So that means that nobody who's not on her trusted list can actually see her tree. So the next thing I wanted to do is figure out how is she related to Patrick Duggan. So I started checking how much DNA does she share with Patrick Duggan's various children. And with Elizabeth, if I click on the DNA link, she shares 3.12%. With William, when I click on the DNA link, she's 3.12%. With Johanna, when I click on the DNA link, 6.25%. So I guess she's descended from Johanna. And eventually I worked down through the generations, and I found that she is descended from Michael Dudley Murphy, who seems to have 3 children, William James, Veronica, and Patrick. When you look at the family view, but when you look at the descendants view, there are 4 children. This is done with WikiTree browser extension, so you can expand and collapse the generations. So the family view doesn't appear to show all the children, because one of those children, who's mentioned in the biography by her full name, Joanna Teresa Murphy, also has red-locked privacy. So she turns out to be the grandmother of Joanne who submitted the wish. So eventually I figured I can get around this I found Joanne's uncle, and I found his tree. So we're a generation back from the person who submitted the wish. So the Patrick Duggan who we're investigating is Alan May's great-great-grandfather. He's the wisher Joanne's great-great-great-grandfather. And I did send an email to Joanne asking her, would she join us? She's probably in Western Australia. It's probably 1 o'clock in the morning where she is. We didn't hear back from her because this was all organized late last night when I got home from the Christmas party that dragged on until all hours. But I looked to see were there any other Irish ancestors, and I got kind of sidetracked by Elizabeth Poe up here. I'm going to skip the GGDNA tab. Greg and I are alpha testing his latest magnificent app, but it wouldn't do what I wanted it to do. We'll try and sort that out offline after this live cast. So here is the profile I found for Elizabeth Poe on WikiTree, as it was this morning. She was down as the daughter of Thomas Parsons Poe and Gertrude Favier. And I just happen to know a little bit about the Poe family. I have this book on the history of the Poe family, which was digitized, and I bought it from an organization called Quinton Publications many years ago and had almost forgotten about it. And I found Joanne's four-greats-grandfather, according to WikiTree, Thomas Parsons Poe. He lived in Gayview and also at Orchard House, Clondalkin, both in County Dublin. He was born on the 5th of November, 1785, and he, DSP, died sine progeny, died without issue on the 25th of October, 1875. And his date of his will, codicil probate, date of death of his wife is there. I checked them in the Irish will calendars, which are freely available online, and there is no mention of children. The wills were proved in the principal probate registry, which burned, the records from that registry burned in the Public Record Office in the Irish Civil War in 1922, so we can't get our hands on the original wills. But I was kind of dubious that they had a child on WikiTree and they had no child in the published family history. So I investigated Eliza Poe and Lawrence Story, and they were married on the 13th of April, 1852 in County Galway. It was probably a non-Catholic marriage. There should have been a civil record. I found the civil record. It said the father was Thomas Poe, parish clerk. No middle name. Thomas Parsons Poe, when he died in 1875, left an estate of £9,000. That was a vast amount of wealth in 1875. So I'm kind of wondered, would a parish clerk really have £8,000? So I did a little bit more research, and I discovered there were two Thomas Poes who have been conflated on WikiTree. Thomas the parish clerk lived in Aughrim in County Galway in the west of Ireland. Thomas Parsons Poe, the wealthy gentleman, lived in the capital Dublin in the east of Ireland. This Thomas died, the parish clerk, in 1853. Thomas Parsons Poe lived until 1875. Thomas Parsons Poe's wife died in 1860. The parish clerk's wife died in 1862. That's both before we had civil registration of deaths in Ireland, but we had newspapers, we had newspaper death notices. There is this website with the strange title of British News Archive, which contains loads of old Irish newspapers, and I found death notices for both Thomas and Eliza. So I've had to detach Mrs. Story from her original parents and reattach her to her correct parents. We still don't know Eliza Senior's maiden surname, but we have given Joanne two Irish ancestors that she didn't realize she had, but we have had to prune a large branch of other ancestors. But it isn't all bad news. I found the grave of Eliza in Holy Trinity Church of Ireland churchyard in Aughrim, County Galway. Aughrim is a famous place in Irish history, one of the major battles of the Jacobite Wars in 1689 to 1691, was fought in Ockram. It's a very small town today. And we can try and read the tombstone. Eliza Poe, who died in Jesus, March the 29th, 1862, aged 79 years. Here lieth the remains of Anne Poe, widow of Parsons Peter Poe, I think, late of Donnybrook in the county of Tipperary, Esquire, who departed this life March, maybe the 1st, and then the rest of it becomes almost impossible to read. So I suspect that Thomas the court clerk was a member of the same Poe family, because Parsons is a surname being used as a first name or a middle name among Poe descendants. But Mrs. Story was just attached to the wrong member of the family. Hopefully, with a little more research, we'll be able to find the right place for her. So that's the first rabbit hole I went down. Then Amanda got me back on track by introducing me to the Bicentennial Dictionary of Western Australians. Amanda is out there, I think, listening to us, but she has no microphone and can't talk to us, and there's no camera and can't appear on screen. So thank you very much for all this stuff, Amanda. What year was it published? These are Western Australians up to 1888, and it's all digitized and available online. So if I hop over here, it says there were 9 Duggans who arrived in Western Australia in the early days of migration. And the one that immediately caught my eye was Thomas Duggan. Probably nothing to do with our Joanne's Duggan ancestors. He came probably later, 1868, on the Hougoumont. The Hougoumont is another very famous ship in Irish history. We had the Fenian Rebellion in 1867, and the rebels who were rounded up were both the last convicts to be transported to Australia and the first convicts to have their photographs taken. And Thomas was from County Cork, and he was a schoolmaster. So I looked on WikiTree to see what I could find on the Hougoumont. There is actually a free space page for the passengers who arrived on the Hougoumont, and there we see Thomas Duggan on the list from Ballincollig, County Cork. This free space page was the bane of my life because it had a strange character in it. And when I edited and tried to save, all the spam alarms and WikiTree went off, and I got locked out of WikiTree for 2 days. But thanks to Abby for sorting that out, and I'm back in again. So I said I better make a profile for Thomas Duggan the Fenian, who doesn't have any relatives yet, didn't get around to that. I just put in the biography from the Bicentennial Dictionary, and I found his obituary republished in Irish newspapers from Australian newspapers. No mention that he had relatives already in Western Australia. So this is just another rabbit hole. And Amanda this afternoon sent me a lovely newspaper advertisement, which I asked her. She did put it up here. So he was a teacher before he became a rebel. And when he went to Australia, he advertised that he had a first-class training certificate from the National Board of Education, 20 years experience as a teacher, and looking for a tutorship in a respectable family. He was in Perth in 1869, so that's within a year of being transported. Duggan and most of the others were pardoned eventually by Queen Victoria, but the leaders of the rising were not. Thomas McCarthy Fennell, a man I'm very familiar with, was also on the Hougoumont. There's his photo, the first photo of a convict before transportation. He was from the Loophead Peninsula in County Clare, where I spent many holidays and still spend an awful lot of time, and where my own ancestors came from. So he's a significant figure in local history. He's in my own online family tree, which some of you know about, and you can read more about his ancestors there. And he's on my own website on a page, the basis of a talk that I gave for the 150th anniversary of the Fenian Rising. Anyway, back to the Duggans. That was a complete tangent.
Now, Amanda asked you, because you mentioned that he was part of the ship where they had photos. So do you have a photo for this Thomas Duggan?
I don't have Thomas Duggan's photo, but I presume it's out there somewhere. I haven't had a chance to look for it. But as far as I know, they were all photographed at some point in the trial process. So it must be available.
Mhm.
And hopefully we'll be able to lay our hands on it. And I guess being 158 years ago now, nearly 159 years ago, it's probably out of copyright, and we probably can upload it to WikiTree if we find it.
Mm.
So we really should have Amanda to talk through these 9 people from the dictionary, what's it called? The Bicentennial Dictionary of Western Australians.
Mhm.
And I think she decided that John and Johanna may actually be the same person, that somebody may have misread the first name off the passenger list. So there may actually be only 8 of them. Eliza is the only one for whom we have found a death record confirming that her parents were Patrick Duggan and Eliza Miller. And Joanne, in her one email, told me all her information is in notes from her late grandmother. And I haven't seen the notes, so I don't know exactly how much is in those notes or exactly how much we can trust them, whether they were passed down orally, passed down in writing, or whether they were research done in this book or elsewhere by Joanne's grandmother. So Amanda has very kindly made out biographies for all 9 of them, found them in other sources. The family legend was that Patrick Duggan was from County Clare. I know quite a bit about County Clare genealogy. I can't find a Patrick Duggan and an Eliza Miller in any County Clare records. And there's nothing, I think, in anything Amanda found until we get down to the very last one, Mary Margaret. And she was definitely from County Clare, but she was not born until 1876, so way younger than the others. So we don't know whether she was going to her uncles or aunts or other relatives, possibly in Western Australia. But being a little more recent, we found out an awful lot more about her. So unfortunately, we haven't cracked the brick wall. We haven't given Joanne any Duggan ancestors that she didn't already know about. We have pruned a few Poe ancestors. We've given her some new Poe ancestors. And hopefully, as the research goes on, there might be enough clues there to add the Poes back into the right place in the Poe family tree, and to somehow connect up all the Duggans who landed in Western Australia in the 1800s. So that's roughly the summary of what we've managed to do between all our other commitments and adventures over Christmas. And thanks again to Amanda for all her help, and to all the other elves.
That's excellent. That's
Any
great.
questions?
Yeah. Any questions?
I'm not even looking for comments. Let me look over here to see if there are any comments.
No, not yet. No. Dee says, that's amazing.
I presume there'll be lots more in the concrete records for Thomas Duggan, but he's from County Cork, and the family legend is that Joanne's Duggans are from County Clare. So,
right.
Pure coincidence, even though he's an interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
And it did say he had a wife and 4 children in Ireland, and I didn't see anything about whether they ever managed to follow him to Australia. So they'd be worth chasing up as well.
Yeah. I did take a look at that free space page about the ship, Huguenot. And
Huguenot.
yeah.
Oh, and did I mention the book?
You mentioned I don't know if you mentioned the book. Oh, look at that.
There is. Did I lose it here? I had the page open earlier. I corresponded for years with Philip Fennell, who sadly died tragically in 2008. And he was a great grandnephew of Thomas McCarthy Fennell, one of the Fenian leaders. And Thomas McCarthy Fennell had left a manuscript which had never been published, and Philip edited it and published it through exlibris.com. So it is still available to purchase online if anyone wants to learn about the Fenian prisoners in Western Australia.
Wow, that's very cool.
And Thomas when he was released, Thomas Fennell went to Elmira in New York via Connecticut, and he organized a rescue mission to rescue the leaders who hadn't been pardoned and were still in custody in Western Australia. So they sent a whaling ship called the Catalpa and managed to spirit away the 5 or 6 leading Fenians who were still in custody in Western Australia and bring them to America.
Ah.
So that's a fascinating story in Irish history.
That is interesting. That is interesting.
It's very tentatively connected to the Wish by a man called Duggan who was involved in
Right.
both.
Well, I was noticing on that list in that free space page, it showed the name of the convict and how long they were sentenced for. You know, many of them were 5 years or 10 years. If I'm is that the same free space page I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I think it was the one that had given you the spam alert.
The one that gave me the spam alert. There it is. If you want to put it up again.
Yeah, let me do that. But if you scroll down, there was a few people that didn't. It looked like they did not serve the first one there, Thomas Bowler from Ballymacool.
Oh, hanged, drawn, and quartered. Yeah, I was surprised. I thought hanging, drawing, and quartering had ended long before 1867.
Really? Yeah. And so, what do they do that on the ship, or do they do it before they left or after they arrived?
If that happened, I presume it happened before they left. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't think they'd waste money transporting somebody they were going to hang.
Yeah, that's right. You know, give them room and board for next. You know, you get to live an extra 30 days or however long it takes to sail there.
It's about 6 months in those days to sail.
6 months. Okay, that's yeah, and he wasn't the only one. There was a bunch there that.
Yeah, Bowler, Joyce, Doran.
So these are ones that were not rescued.
They were certainly not. There's 3 who were quartered.
Wow, like really.
And 3 who were hanged.
Yeah,
so same 3.
That was
thanks
not
to Darren Kellett, by the way, for getting the dodgy character out of that page, so it can now be safely edited. So I can now go back in and link Thomas Duggan there to his profile.
Yeah. Well, I certainly did not have that on my bingo card for something to pop up on a WikiTree free space page, but being hanging, drawing, quartered.
Well, we know it happened back in Cromwell's time in the 1600s.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it happened in the late 1800s.
Yeah.
As well.
Amanda's asking, is Thomas Duncan in the book, Patty?
Yes, unfortunately, there's no index in the book, but I skimmed through it, and there are 1 or 2 mentions of him. Let's see if I can find the Ex Libris link.
This to me,
there's the link, and can I go to?
If you copy it,
I go to StreamYard now, you'll get the infinite link. Unshare my screen there, and I'll post that link.
If you put it in the private chat, then we can put it in the other chat.
Well, I can put it in the public chat as well. Can people see that?
Oh, yes. Oh, because you're on your other machine. Yes.
Whatever.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go.
Perfect.
This is just another great example that we might not be able to break a brick wall within the amount of time of the Secret Santa, but the collaboration between the elves, 2 completely different parts of the world, working together.
Yeah. And I did
with the holidays going on.
I'm free Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, and I should have said I would prefer Thursday. We might actually achieve something, but next thing you're on for Tuesday, so
sorry.
It wasn't a whole lot of time because there was a very late Christmas party last night. So excuse my voice; it's probably just as bad as Greg's.
Yeah.
You still, Patty. There's still a few days left to find some more.
Yeah. You can always give us an update on the final.
Yeah, but it's too late for this LiveCast.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you very much, Patty, for coming and joining us today. That was great. And thank you, Amanda, again, for all the work that you've done as well. And We hope that, at some point we'll be able to hear or see you in one of these live casts. But great work that you've done there. So thanks very much for that.
And thank you for staying up until God knows what hour of the morning.
Oh, I know. It's tomorrow already for Amanda. So
Yes.
Still this year, yeah.
In the wee hours, yeah.
Not next year yet.
It's not next year yet. Yeah, no. Tomorrow it would be next year if they were.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
But anyways, speaking of tomorrow, come back again tomorrow, because at 12 noon we'll have another day of Elfmas. So that will be the 10th day of Elfmas. And we'll celebrate then as well. So goodbye, everyone. Thanks again, Patty. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks,
Bye.
Christine and Kathy, for joining me. See ya.